Laundry is really an extremely exhausting topic, especially if you have a dynamic electricity tariff. Consequently, you only want to run the laundry and when the price is as cheap as possible. It often happens that you forget the whole thing and you end up sitting with a pile of laundry and a very suboptimal electricity price, so you actually don't want to do laundry, but somehow you have to because you need something new to wear again. To somehow get a handle on this exact problem, I have come up with an automation to manage the whole thing. I will explain how it works after the intro. Enjoy! Yes, let's start with the sensors. Because somehow we need to determine on one hand that the laundry pile is currently full, and on the other hand, we also need to find out what the current electricity price is so that we can combine these two things in a smart automation to manage the whole thing. Additionally, I have thought about how best to implement the whole thing. Because we have 3 different laundry baskets. That means installing a sensor in each individual laundry basket would have been too cumbersome for me personally. I considered working with a camera, a fill level sensor and so on, but in the end, I realized that everything takes place on a shelf. Accordingly, we have a value that always changes on this shelf, and that is the weight. So I looked to see if there was a weight sensor that was as easy to install as possible and came across this one from M5 Stack, which conveniently also works directly with the M5 Stack microcontrollers. So I ordered both and I have to say it's really like building with Lego. So you get 4 different weight sensors, which are intended for the 4 corners of the shelf, namely back left, back right, front left, front right. These are then simply plugged into a control board, and the control board can then be connected to the microcontroller. I then attached this to the shelf, and the next step was to program this microcontroller with ESP Home. At this point, if you have no experience with ESP Home, I will link it in the video description for you. Conveniently, ESP Home also has a direct integration for these weight sensors. This means you just need to add this line of code, swap the 2 GPIO signals, and you will already see the weight values displayed in Home Assistant. However, initially they appear as really strange values that you can't really make sense of. But conveniently, there is a filter for ESP Home for this. This means you first empty the shelf and just set it up. Then you get the quasi 0 kilogram value. You enter that value once and then take a notable weight or which you can weigh with, for example, a household scale. I took a carton of milk here, which weighs approximately 1.03 kilograms, placed it on the shelf, and then entered this value as 1.03 kilograms. After that, I updated the ESP, and from now on, I have kilogram values. Now quickly fill the shelf once to find out approximately where the threshold is, from which point I want to receive a notification. Approximately at 80% or 9 kilograms has been my experience value, where I could already start a wash. And now it was about finding out how to access the current electricity price. Fortunately, there is a HACS integration for that. For those who have no experience with HACS, I also link it in the video description. In the HACS store, there is this EPEX Spot integration. You can install it once, then go to Settings, Devices and Services, add Integration and select EPEX Spot here as well. Then you need to set where the data should come from. In my case, and since I use Tibber, I select Tibber and then have to enter the API token. You get it from the Tibber developer page. Log in there once with your Tibber user data, that is email and password, and then you will be shown the API token, which you can simply insert here. Afterwards, you have this EPEX Spot service here. You can also see the current electricity price and also see the average, highest, lowest, and median price. But we want to see how the electricity price will develop in the future, and for that, there is also a practical service that we can call up here. We can also look at it by going to Developer Tools Actions and searching for EPEX as an action. Then we find both the highest price and the lowest price. Of course, we want to find the lowest price and can then specify various values here. These are optional here. The mandatory field is the duration, meaning which time frame do we want to overview. In my case, it's 2 hours, so that I can ideally run both the washing machine and the dryer. Then I would now set an end time. So I want to look into the future from now and I need to enter a time here. So if I want to check for 1 o'clock tomorrow, I enter 1 o'clock here and then need to specify why postponement of end days. And that means I have to insert a 1 here because I want to look until 1 o'clock tomorrow. And when I execute the action here now, as I receive a time as a response. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the electricity price is 23.8 euros per kilowatt. So, and now one could of course consider whether to automatically start a washing machine or how to automate the whole thing as cleverly as possible. Since my washing machine and dryer don't have any smart functions, I decided to cover the whole thing with notifications, meaning I have a notification sent to me when either the fill level drops to 80% or, if I forget, to check every morning at 9 o'clock when the electricity price will be cheapest next, and then notify me so that, ideally, I can start a washing machine at that time. Additionally, I want to be notified again when the washing machine has finished running so that I can start the dryer at a specific time, ensuring the laundry doesn't start to smell and need to be washed again. Finding out when the washing machine is cheapest to run is super easy because I already have a smart plug that measures the power consumption of my washing machine. So when it spins the laundry at the end and the power consumption shoots up accordingly, I just need to monitor this moment. And as soon as the power consumption drops again, I can be sure that the washing machine is finished. Said and done. So I wrote an automation that combines all these things and notifies me in both cases. And here is the automation. I would say let's go through it chronologically, just as it would be triggered. That means we start here with the second and third triggers. On one hand, the weight sensor, as soon as it exceeds 9 kilograms, the automation is triggered. However, this must be the case for over an hour. Since this weight sensor is not 100% accurate, I catch any potential errors, and trigger this automation only if it has been the case for over an hour. Additionally, I always trigger this automation at 9 o'clock. This automation then triggers option 2. So on one hand, weight and time trigger it. Then I have to check again if the weight is indeed over the 9 kilograms, because when the automation is triggered at 9 o'clock, I don't necessarily know if the laundry actually needs to be started. So here it is checked again, whether the laundry basket is really full, and then the action is carried out. This here looks relatively complicated now, but it's just what I already showed you. We calculate the time here in 24 hours so that we can see the power consumption for the future. If this seems too complicated for you, you can simply copy it. The only thing you can conveniently adjust here is the future you want to look into. In my case, it's 24 hours. But you can easily adjust this here by changing the 24 to any other number and duration. In my case, I'm looking at 2 hours here. You can also easily adjust this here. Then I write the whole thing into a response variable and use it here with sender for a notification. And here I then enter that the laundry could be started either tomorrow or today at, and here the time is entered. The electricity price is then, and here is the electricity price per kilowatt hour. And this is how the notification looks. All right, next we go into the last trigger, which is when the washing machine is finished. That means as soon as the power consumption falls below 1000 watts for at least 30 minutes, I assume the washing machine has finished its cycle. Then I go into option 1 here, meaning the washing machine is done, and then I check again for the cheapest electricity price in the next 12 hours, because based on experience, the laundry should not stay in the washing machine for more than 12 hours. After that, it starts to smell and you have to run it again. So I want to know within the next 12 hours at most, for 1 hour, where is the cheapest electricity price. And I also write this back into the response variable. After that, I send myself a notification again, this time with the message, please set the dryer to, then the time in hours and minutes, electricity price is then, and then the current electricity price at that time. And that's about it. That's how I've basically automated my laundry. If you want to recreate the whole thing, I'll link this complete automation in the video description. So you basically only need to adjust minimal things. Otherwise, you can, of course, just copy it. If you don't want to miss any more of these automations, do me a favor and click on subscribe and help me improve this statistic a bit. If you liked it, feel free to show it with a rating. And if you have any questions or suggestions on how to improve the whole thing, feel free to write them in the comments. And then I would say, we'll see each other again next week for a new video. Until then, take care and goodbye.